Welcome to the SCLD podcast, where we talk about all the things you can do and find at the library.
Hi, I'm Andrea Brumbaugh. I'm the social media specialist here at Spokane County Library District. And today with me, we have Corinne Wilson. She's a librarian here, and Stacy Goddard, who is a public services manager here, both also with the district. And thank you guys for being here today.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
me
us.
on here.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about something that's kind of interesting thing that's going on in our area this year. And that's the 50th anniversary of Expo 74, correct?
Yeah, it should be really fun.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the expo itself, the anniversary, all the celebrations and things that are going on at the district, around town, and how you can also participate. So first of all, what was Expo 74?
So Expo 74 was a World's Fair that was hosted in Spokane and therefore has a lot of public interest for people who are into history or just have memories of going to Expo. We've got a lot of local history archives and things that mention Expo because it was a really big deal for our city. It was, at the time, my understanding is we were the smallest city to have hosted a World's Fair. And our mayor and planning committee had kind of talked to the folks who had hosted a World's Fair in Seattle, and they said, are we crazy for trying to do this? And they said, well, actually Spokane's not that much smaller in the 70s than Seattle was in the 60s when they hosted it. You could probably pull it off. And the reason that it came about is they were looking for ways to fix some problems with Spokane's downtown infrastructure. So there was, at the time, there was no riverfront park. That was a result of Expo. We just think of it now as a landmark that's been there forever, but that's not. So there were railroad tracks and warehouses and things all in that area. And the railroad tracks were causing major traffic jams. If you've ever been stuck outside of Argonne, that was basically like the whole city at that point, is my understanding. And then they also had all these viaducts that the railroad tracks were on that were blocking views of the falls. So it was really hard to go kind of see Spokane Falls, which had once been one of Spokane's major landmarks. But then all this industry kind of cropped up and then went away. And so they were looking for ways to revitalize that area. They tried bonds and things that failed a number of times and couldn't figure out, how do we get the funds to change our city? And eventually they came upon the idea, if we have a World's Fair here, that might give us the revenue to revitalize this area. So David Rogers, who was the mayor at the time, said, reduced to its essentials, we gave a great big party and the rest of the world came and paid the bill. So they took out all the railroad tracks, obviously, and it went from kind of being railroad tracks and warehouses and viaducts to being just this giant mud pit. And there was a lot of concern of like, okay, we're going to be able to get this ready for the World's Fair in time. And then it was turned into the World's Fair, which we have a lot of photographs of. And then it worked thematically really well because it was an environmentally themed World's Fair. So you're turning all this concrete into public parks, nature, all of that sort of thing. So it really kind of worked with what Expo was trying to do too, which was really fortunate. So a lot of we've got a lot of landmarks in Spokane that popped up from Expo: the butterfly sculpture, the park, the pavilion, the convention center, all those sorts of things got their start there.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really neat. I didn't know a lot of those things about it. So this was the 50th anniversary, so obviously 50 years ago. And Stacy, you were there as a child, correct?
Yes, I believe I'm the only one at this table that was alive in 1974.
Yep, you are correct.
Dubious Achievement Award. So yes, I remember going. I turned 6 during Expo that year, and as we were talking about before the recording, I double checked with my parents to make sure I wasn't like conflating events or a trip to Seattle or something. But I definitely remember going. And of course, my memories are more about the amusement park rides part of it. I can remember getting dragged through some of the exhibits. There was one ride, it was like a Ferris wheel, except they were like buckets. So you could get like 4 or 5 people in, and it had like a parasol cover.
Wasn't that here just not that long ago? I feel
It
like there
might
was a
have been.
Ferris wheel when I first moved here, like 10 years ago, and I remember thinking that looks really old and not safe.
Well, there used to be a little Ferris wheel by the ice skating rink.
Yeah,
under
that
the
might be the one that I was.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
this was different. This was a different thing. And then the other thing I had to double check with my folks is I swear I could remember my brother and I going with my grandfather riding a helicopter, and 6-year-old me was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, until we got into the helicopter, and it was one of those, like, there were no doors on the side. It was just like open air. There were seatbelts and everything, but it was a little bit spooky. But in talking with my parents, as residents of Spokane, they bought season passes, and my dad had a manufacturing job, and unfortunately, right after they bought the season passes, he got switched to swing shift.
Oh no!
So we still went, but like the grandparents ended up going with mom and my brother and me. But the other thing I really remember about about Expo is there were fireworks every night.
Oh wow!
Every night, and so we would go. My grandmother loved them, so we'd go, and a lot of times we would park because like going downtown, it was just bananas. There were so many people, but we would park in some of the parking lots on Gonzaga's campus because you could overlook, and it wasn't as built up 50 years ago, so they had lots of views. And as the fireworks went up over the river, so those are a few of my like 6-year-old memories.
I'm told that you could do Expo if you didn't get the season pass route for like $10 a day if you were careful, because a ticket to get in was $4, and then the rides on those like carousel Ferris wheel type things were like $1 and change each, which was exorbitant at the time.
That sounds like a lot.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then you could get food for $1 and change, or you could get a sit-down meal for $3. But you could do the whole thing for $10 if you were only going to go once.
That's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Interesting
amazing
stuff.
Yeah. So is that
This is an official adult ticket. An adult is defined as any person over the age of 17 as of the 4th of May, 1974.
Oh wow.
Photography of Expo 74 World's Fair for commercial purposes is strictly prohibited.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
That's pretty cool. That's been like laminated and saved over those years. That's neat.
Yeah, it's just in a little
amazing.
sleeve so that
okay.
my fingerprints don't get on it. But yeah, it's in excellent, perfect condition.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's see what it looked like.
The latest issue of Engage is here. Inside, you'll find programs and resources for all ages and a wide variety of interests. Explore creative topics that spark the imagination. Find programs for health and wellness, financial education, gardening, and more. Hear from best-selling authors. Bring young children to weekly story times. See our STEM programs for kids. Discover digital resources that can help you pick up a new hobby and explore topics for personal and professional growth. Pick up your copy of Engage at any of our libraries or flip through the digital version today on our website at scld.org.
Yeah, and speaking of these souvenirs,
Yeah.
that is part of what we're doing here at the district for the World's Fair for the anniversary. And so what are we asking people to do?
So we are asking people to drop off any souvenirs and memorabilia that they have, or any typed out memories that they have that might be unique or interesting, and drop them off at their local library. Any one of our locations people can drop things off at. And then we're going to put them in our display cases for a month during the summertime. So the Anniversary of Expo lasts from May through November, because the World's Fair went from May 4th through November 3rd of 1974. And we'll be celebrating smack dab in the middle, and we'll have all of our display cases full of memorabilia and memories for people to walk through and see throughout that month. So we really encourage people to do that. And memorabilia can really be anything that you want it to be. We've got people who maybe have photo albums like this very 1970s, specifically Expo themed album of pictures. We've got people who have commemorative plates or old souvenir programs. We've got stamps and postcards and all kinds of maps and things that people got during Expo, and it can really be whatever you want. The keychain that you got at Expo 74, the souvenir that I most want to get that might only be a legend, I don't know, is IMAX was brand new at the time, and they kind of unveiled it at the World's Fair, and they handed out, I'm told, Expo-themed barf bags because so many people got sick from the technology that they've never seen. I haven't not found one, but if anybody has one, I really want it.
Yes, please bring it.
Please bring it to us.
If you have one, that would be amazing.
I want to see it. But yeah, it can be anything that people want. And then a few of our locations don't have display cases. So we'll also be filming some people talking about their memories and filming some actual artifacts themselves and putting that information online so that if you either don't live close to a library or your library doesn't have a convenient display area, you'll still be able to see all of these cool things from Expo and experience the anniversary.
Cool. And so they can bring things to the library, to any of our libraries.
Correct. And we will have a just very simple half sheet form that will have you fill out saying, this is how you contact me to give my items back, or I'm just donating these items. I don't care about them at all. The library can have them. And saying that you understand that we are going to display them. And you also can volunteer to have somebody contact you about sitting down and being filmed talking about your memories of Expo if you've got something particularly unique or interesting that you experienced or remembered.
Yeah, that's so cool because obviously not everybody might have any of those kind of memorabilia. They might have just have their memories about it and want to share that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and we're hoping this will be a cool way for kids who are learning about Expo for the first time to connect with family members who maybe actually remember Expo.
Yeah, that's cool. And they can also go online, correct, and fill out things?
Yes, they can fill out the same sheet online. They can also, if you don't live near a library and you've got photos that you've scanned and saved or you've typed up a memory, you can go online and just submit it directly online and not ever have to come in if you want to. It's only if you've got physical items that obviously you'd have to come drop them off somewhere.
Right. Cool. And we'll have that link in the description, so don't worry about that. You can also just go to our website, scld.org, and I'm sure you can find it there as well. So other than the displays, do we have any other programs that are happening at the libraries for Expo 74?
The League of Women Voters in Spokane has very generously agreed to do some talks around the environment because that was the theme of Expo.
Right.
And that is, I mean, many of the things that people were concerned about during the 70s with environment, we're still seeing the echoes of today. Maybe we don't use the same terms or the issue isn't exactly the same, but it's pretty close. A lot of those concerns are still concerns.
Sure.
So we'll have kind of roundtable discussions where people can talk about different aspects of the environment. What should we be doing? What should our biggest concerns be? Those sorts of things.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so kind of bringing the theme back 50 years later, talking about the same kind of thing.
Absolutely,
but how it
what's
affects us now.
What's still relevant and what have we made strides on and what have we kind of not? And we also have a cool environmentally themed book list that people can access. It's listed in Engage, and I believe it's
should be on our catalog too.
Yeah.
We'll put that link in the description as well.
Absolutely.
So that way you can get right to it. And then, so that's what we have going on is the display and then those roundtable kind of conversations. Do you guys know of anything else that's going on? I mean, I know there are lots of things going on in the county.
I honestly don't have a complete list of everything going on in the county because I think there's going to be a lot. I know that Spokane Public Library System is going to be doing some programs, and then they also will have they've got archival materials that relate to Expo that they're going to have out so that people can look at as well.
Okay.
And there will also be some big to-dos in Riverfront Park. So I know that there's going to be something every Saturday for most of May, and we will be in the exhibitors area in Riverfront Park during all of the performances and things on May 25th.
Okay.
We decided we would go table and tell people about some of the things that we're doing, maybe get the word out to some of those folks who live outside of our service area about submitting things if they would like to do that. And there's things happening right now as well. You can go buy an Expo 74 themed cookie in Riverfront Park right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Isn't
I'll
that
see
cool?
you guys later.
They look beautiful. Yeah, I was like, ooh, I hope they
So
taste
it's
as good
got
as they look.
maybe that
Yes,
kind
it
of
has
design on
pretty much
it?
exactly
Yeah.
that logo on there. Yeah.
That's cool.
Great.
Yeah, which of course was made to look sort of like the recycling sign since it was an environmentally
Right,
themed
right.
World's Fair.
Yeah.
Do you have a green thumb? Are you new to gardening? No matter your skill level, every season is gardening season at the library. We have an extensive collection of gardening books and online resources that can plant the seeds for new ideas and help you cultivate your indoor and outdoor projects. We also have seed libraries. Our Take and Give seed libraries are currently accepting donations of vegetable, herb, and flower seeds. Bring your heirloom seeds into a library to share with other gardeners for spring planting. Learn more today at scld.org.
I am really hoping that we get a lot of folks with unique memories. I know when we did kind of a similar all call for Mount St. Helens, people had such unique experiences based on what jobs they were working at the time.
right.
That there were all kinds of really unexpected stories that I thought were fascinating. So I'm hoping we get something similar for Expo, if there were people who had jobs related to Expo, or they had parents who did things for it, or they just have really unique memories of something that happened while they were there. We'd love to hear about it because we can get all of our basic facts, of course,
Right.
from books and materials, but the best sorts of ways to experience history is hearing things that people in your community
Right.
know about that aren't exactly on the official record.
Right, right.
Well-
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think this is so great, Corinne, because there's so many people that weren't alive or moved here and have no idea that the whole reason we have Riverfront Park and why it's such a centerpiece is this World's Fair. So being able to go back and learn about all that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was such a successful revitalizing of our city. There were a lot of people who were very concerned about it. They had their doubts about, is this going to bankrupt us? Is it going to backfire financially? A lot of people called it Exploit 74 because they
boy.
thought, people downtown are just kind of getting their way, getting lots of city funding, and we're never going to get it back. But it worked out perfectly fine. Like we had tons of visitors to the World's Fair. It was very successful. We made enough money to complete a lot of projects downtown, and that ended up being good for the city as a whole. So
Cool.
it's an interesting historical tidbit that, like you say, Stacey, not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
Anybody that graduated from high school in the 80s and went to, at the time it was called the Opera House, like that was part of the World's Fair campus.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
don't even think about it, but this is great.
Yeah. And I remembered what I was going to say. So we can, how long are we taking the submissions? I know we've already started taking them, correct?
So they begin from April 1st through, I wish I had it, May 10th. April 1st through May 10th. And then we'll have things on display for the month of July.
Okay.
So when you're in getting all of your summer reads with your family, go ahead and stop by and take a look in your local library's display case. We'll have cool, fun expo things for you to see there.
Very cool. And so it's Argonne and Spokane Valley that don't have display cases, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I should say we're making every effort to respect people's wishes. You can put on your submission form, this is my local library and this is where I want my stuff to be displayed, and we'll try our very best to do that. Of course, if we get 5 of the same item, we'll put things other places, or if your library doesn't have a display case, you'll be able to see things digitally, but they'll be actually displayed at other locations. But for the most part, we really will try our best to keep your things in your community.
Okay. Cool.
So it sounds like July might be a good day to get out and visit some of our other locations if you haven't been.
Oh, yeah.
Out to
Absolutely.
West Plains or out to Deer Park.
Yeah, especially if you're in a position where you live somewhere that's kind of near 2 or 3 libraries, visit all of them, even if you wouldn't normally, because you're going to see completely different things.
That's
Correct.
awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being here, and make sure that you come in July. But before that, make sure if you've got any memories, any memorabilia, things that you want to share. Remember that you'll get it back if you want it back. Just go onto our website or come in and drop those off, and you can fill that out. And we will see you at the anniversary of the Expo 74.